Today is going to be a fun one. This one's been a long time in the making. Light guns. If you've been around, you know we're huge fans of the genre. And one area that we hadn't really ever tapped into in our gaming history was the PlayStation 1.
The PlayStation 1, I honestly didn't even know PS1 offered light gun games when I was a kid. And I wish I would have, because that would have been awesome. We have light guns for the PS2, the PS3, we play stuff on the Wii, so it's really cool to jump into the rabbit hole of the PS1 because there's so much, there's multiple different guns, there's third-party things, there's a bunch of different games. This has been a fun project.
It has been, for sure. And you know, as we sit here in 2022, playing light guns at home is like a forgotten thing of yesteryear. I mean, you know, we got the new House of the Dead game on the Switch, but it's
a point-and-click adventure game.
Is it a true light gun experience? No, it's not. But today we're going to do a deep dive on the PlayStation 1 and get you set up to play light gun games at home, if you care to, with an original light gun, a light gun experience. So we're going to dive into all the things you need to make that happen.
The first thing you need, obviously, is a compatible TV.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to need to get a CRT. So dust off, grandma's CRT, bust it over, find room for it. A lot of people say, I don't have room for it. You can get a small one. Get a 24-inch,
so
plenty of room.
The way we're going to go about this episode and this buying guide is original hardware. There are ways to emulate these games, but we're going to go at it from the organic, playing it the way that it was back in 95, 96, 97 on the PlayStation 1. And to your point, you are going to need a CRT TV. Now, if it's a CRT TV that has DVI or HDMI, odds are that will not work with a light gun.
Because our top CRT does not work on it. We have to play it on our bottom CRT.
Yeah, so that's going to be vital, and we're going to get into the other things you need, but from a TV perspective, if you want to keep going and you want to go on this journey down the PlayStation 1 light gun rabbit hole with gaming off the grid, you're going to need a CRT TV, and it's going to help you in a lot of other retro gaming areas, so I think that is a must-own. So once you've got the TV situation worked out, you got your CRT TV, what do you need next?
Oh, obviously, a console. You need something to play these light gun games, and obviously this is the PlayStation 1 light gun buying guide, so you're going to need a PlayStation 1. But you could also get a PS2.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. All these games and all these accessories and all this stuff works on a PS2.
Yeah.
So if you have a PS2 laying around, you don't have to go buy a PS1. And it does work on all the versions of PS1s as well. The PS1, the PS1.
The smaller one.
Yeah, the smaller one.
Yeah, a lot of great options. The PlayStation 1 console itself is so cheap, and I think it's because of the backwards compatibility that the PS2 offered. So if you're wanting that real organic, true experience, then you might want to get a cheap PS1. Pretty reliable console. I mean, I don't know, I'd say 1 out of every 5 we pick up maybe has an issue, but they do fire up pretty well.
But if you have a PS2 laying around, you might as well just, it works great on the PS2, and then that also leaves you open for maybe PS2 light gun games.
Yeah.
So that would be a future episode.
All right, so you got the TV, you got a console of choice, something that will work with these PS1 light gun games. You're gonna need some accessories, because I think this trumps the games if you're wanting to experience it the right way, because you can play a lot of these games with a controller, but it doesn't give you that at-home experience.
And why would you want to?
I don't think you would. So to me, I would rather have all the stuff lined up and then start grabbing some games. So let's talk about the accessories. The good old Konami Justifier. The first light gun that was released on the PlayStation 1. This was almost from the beginning of the console's life cycle. And I think there's a lot of folks that grew up in that time frame that maybe have never seen one of these before.
It's cool.
I think a lot of people think light gun games on the PS1, if they are aware of those, and their mind goes to the next accessory we're going to talk about
in a little bit.
The Justifier is built very well. I believe in the PAL regions in Japan it was called the Hyper Blaster.
The Hyper Blaster. I don't know what I like more, the Hyper Blaster or the Justifier.
Yeah, the naming of it's pretty cool. Now, to connect this to your console, it's very simple. You just connect it in through one of the controller ports.
That's all it is.
And you got your start button on the side, you got a little select button in the back, and you got the trigger. It's about as simple as it gets. Now, from a functionality standpoint, I don't think this is the best light gun on the PS1, but I also don't think it's bad. I was surprised with how well this actually works. And it's kind of this or that. There's games that work with this alone, games that work with the other light gun we're going to talk about alone, and then there's a few that this and the other light guns work on both.
So obviously there's a bunch of third-party light gun games out there. We're only going to focus on the Justifier, and then we're going to talk about the GunCon in a little bit.
Yeah, the main...
Yeah, those are the main two, and those are the ones that you're going to be able to play the most games with. I will say that if you're going to use the Justifier, calibration is super important, but most of the games offer that, so once you get it dialed in, it works just fine. The weight and everything feels great with the Justifier. What's cool about the Justifier is you might know about it from the prior generation because it was on Super Nintendo and the Genesis, and then it was also released for the Sega Saturn. So the Justifier isn't just PlayStation 1 exclusive. So I think that's pretty cool. It's been around.
And those were more of a form factor of like a revolver, like a pistol. This is definitely, that Hyper Blaster name that it has in the UK and or PAL regions in Japan almost feels like it fits it better than calling this the Justifier.
Yeah, it kind of looks like sci-fi, dude.
Yeah, it definitely does. But it's got a decent weight, the handle feels really good. It just feels good in the hand. It reacts very, very well. Not perfect, but it's a pretty damn good gun. This is the most expensive, though, of the two that we're going to cover. This gun's going to run you, I see them go between 60 and 80 bucks a crack.
A pop. And that's just loose prices. We do have two of them, and I'm glad that we have them because obviously the games are two-player.
Yeah.
But man, they are kind of expensive.
We got a really good deal though. We got the pair of them untested, and the guy said no returns. He said I found them. They worked when I was a kid. They've been in storage ever since. They're in great condition. It was 90 bucks for the pair.
So that's really good.
But what I'm getting at is keep your eyes peeled because you don't see a lot of these listed on eBay.
No.
So just finding a listing is kind of
the tough
cumbersome.
The tough part is you type in Konami Justifier and you get the list for Genesis, Super Nintendo. It's like it's kind of hard to niche it down to PS1.
There's only usually a couple listed at a time.
But the Justifier is badass.
Before we shift gears and talk about the next gun accessory in the episode, we got to tie things up on the Justifier and let you know what games you can play with it.
Yes.
Because that may be a determining factor on if you want to pick it up or not.
Yeah, we luckily have both guns, so we can get all the games and be able to play them both ways. But if you only want to pick up one gun, you're only going to be able to play half the games.
Yeah.
So the Konami Justifier, half the games don't work with the other gun, and then vice versa. So the GunCon games don't work with the Justifier. It kind of is weird and it kind of sucks. But the games that do work with the Konami Justifier is obviously Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2 double pack. Great game. Then you got Project Horned Owl, which was published by Sony. That's a fun game. You got Crypt Killer, which is a cheesy but fun game.
Konami game too.
Yeah,
so
Die Hard Trilogy, which was published by Fox. Those are the exclusive Justifier games. And then there is two light gun games that you can play with both guns. So this is kind of the cool part. Elemental Gearbolt, which is a very unique, amazing experience. We'll dive deep into that later. And then Maximum Force, which was an Atari Midway game. It's cool that you can play with both of them, but it's weird that only two of the games use both guns.
Yeah,
that's super weird.
It is kind of goofy. It took a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing. I don't recall if you mentioned Area 51 as being
Area 51
with the Justifier.
Arcade port. Yeah, dude, it's so
another good game. If you're sitting there wondering, I've never heard of these games, I don't know if they're good, there is a game section coming up in the episode.
Yeah,
we'll dive deeper into all of these here in a little bit. But those are the games that are compatible with the Konami Justifier on the PlayStation 1. It is time to talk about Namco's GunCon, one of the longest running mainstay light gun accessories. It spawned the GunCon 2 and the GunCon 3.
Yeah, amazing light gun guns.
But this gun arrived in Japan in December of 1994. It was released worldwide in 1995. And it's, kind of unfortunate for the Konami Justifier because it's an amazing light gun, but it's in the same arena as this bad boy.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the way that this is hooked up. It makes the accuracy and everything just amazing. It's so cool how it's hooked up because obviously it has the controller port.
Yes, but then it also goes through the video port as well. So you got this adapter. If you guys have played the PlayStation 2, it has a similar type of setup. This goes into your video port, and then your video cord from your PS1 goes into this.
It's insane when you hook this up, just how immediately accurate it is. It's just like, what?
I don't know exactly how all that works, but there is definitely a noticeable difference when playing with the GunCon versus other guns.
And when you do two-player, you just extend that, so it's kind of weird when you're playing on a TV because you just have like this extends coming out of your TV.
Yeah, it's for sure.
But the Namco GunCon is amazing. It was released in like bundles, which is really cool. It came with like a Point Blank bundle. It came with a Time Crisis bundle. It came with a Time Crisis Project Titan bundle.
Yeah, I think all of the Point Blanks had a big box bundle, and they are really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys have never seen one, it's just really pleasing on the eyes. I mean, it's just the big box releases are so cool.
I love big box stuff. And
Yeah.
This is just a beautiful big box. And what's so cool, not only is this like the best way to play light gun games on the PS1, I mean, Justifier is really close. It's really good. But this is cheaper than the Justifier too. So these go for around 30 to 40 bucks a pop on eBay. So not that bad. You can get two of them for less than 100 bucks, 2-player arcade, and they literally, guys, immediately perfect.
They are awesome. It's got your A and B button on the sides and a trigger, and it feels great in the hand. It almost feels, or is damn close to feeling, like maybe a little lighter than if you were playing a light gun game in the arcades.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good this feels.
And what's really cool about the GunCon 1, and this is kind of a like unique fact.
Yeah, the more you know.
The more you know. Put rainbow here. This GunCon 1 works on the PS2 for 2 light gun games. It doesn't make any sense. So it works with Vampire Knights and Time Crisis 2 on the PS2.
Which, it's important to note, this works on the PS2 for all PS1 games it's compatible
you can play PS1 games on your PS2 with the GunCon 1.
But there's some PlayStation 2 games that
it's
it works.
only those two for some reason, because maybe those two were released before the GunCon 2. I don't know, but then there's big boxes for those, for the GunCon 2. It's kind of confusing. I don't know why, but if you have those laying around and you have the GunCon 1, you can play those. It's just a weird fun fact, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a nice little
weird.
factoid, and it works just as well as the GunCon 2 does on those games. There's only 2 games that applies to, for whatever reason.
I will say, since we're talking about the PS2 and the GunCon 2, if you have it for the PS2, does not work with PS1 games. So there's no backwards compatibility in that essence.
Yeah, it just hooks up different.
Yeah.
It runs through the USB ports, and I think that's where shit hits the fan.
Weird.
So,
but
this is a must-own, though. If you are a light gun fan and you have a PlayStation 1 and you want to play light gun games, the GunCon is where it's at. One of the greatest home console light guns of all time, and it's really only competing with itself. It's only competing with the 3 and the 2, the GunCon.
It literally is the best way to play it. Now let's talk about the games that are exclusive with the GunCon 1.
Yeah, so you've got your Namco published stuff, which should be pretty obvious that this would work with those, and they probably are the best light gun games on the PlayStation 1. You got your Point Blank games, Point Blank 1, 2, and 3. Works amazing with the GunCon. You got your Time Crisis games, Time Crisis and Time Crisis Project Titan. Then you get into some third-party developed games that this works with as well.
Yeah, you have this really unique game published by Ubisoft called Gunfighter: The Legend of Jesse James. It's like a cowboy game. And then you have Judge Dredd, which is based on a comic book published by Activision. And then obviously we already talked about these two, but these two work with the Justifier and the GunCon 1, Elemental Gearbolt and Maximum Force. So it's kind of like, if you're going to jump into this and you're only going to pick one, pick which games you think you're going to like better. But I'm going to say, if you're only going to pick one, I'd recommend the GunCon.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
And you've already mentioned it. It's not taking a dump on the Justifier, but it's just, this is next level.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Yeah.
It feels like you're at the arcade. It's amazing. Let's talk about some other accessories that come with it. So, obviously there's a bunch of third-party light guns. They're hit and miss. They work on some games or they don't. And then there is a foot pedal that was released for light gun games. We actually have one.
It's a cheap third-party one.
This is the weird part, is we couldn't get it to work.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just touchy or maybe this one was broken because we got it used. It's cool because I was like, man, Time Crisis like at home with the foot pedal.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work, and I was trying to follow the instructions and I was like, this is confusing, why isn't this working? So then I just gave up on it. You don't need this. You don't need this. It was just kind of cool, but it didn't work.
They do make some better ones, maybe somewhere down the line. I don't think it's a must-own deal. No. They also, a lot of these games are compatible with the Sony mouse that Sony had released.
But then that's like playing with a controller.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're going back to point and click. If that's how you like playing games, or if you're a Windows person, maybe do that.
Yeah,
but
to each their own. Yeah. That's just not how I would choose to play these.
I just like the real arcade experience, and the freaking GunCon and the Justifier, they do that great. It's amazing.
Okay, up to this point, we've got you set up with what type of TV you need, what consoles you can play these games on, what accessories you're going to need to play the games, but we haven't done a lot of talking about the games.
Yeah, the games are very important because this is where the fun is. You need games. So there's about 13 North American released light gun games for the PlayStation 1. There's a ton more that are Europe and PAL region exclusive. and I kind of wish we had them.
We've got like 10 of them, right? So
Yeah.
we don't have everything.
Yeah, we don't have Point Blank 1 and 2. We don't have Judge Dredd, but for the most part, we have them all. We've played them all. We know a lot about them. And what's really weird before we jump into the games is there was a game, Revolution X, that's a light gun game in the arcades. It's the Aerosmith game, obviously. You guys know.
And
it's on the PS1, but they didn't give it a light gun game. Why? It's a light gun game.
And here's what's frustrating. It's released by Midway.
Dude, yeah, because we picked it up because we were like, this is an arcade light gun game.
We figured it
doesn't work. So that's just, I just wanted to throw that in real quick. But let's jump through the games. We just have them in a random pile. We're going to just put them in good or bad.
Yeah,
we're going to go through them. We're going to kind of tell you what they're worth, what the game's about, good or bad.
Yeah, we're going to put them in a good or bad category, and then at the end we'll give you what our personal top 5 is. How's that sound?
That sounds pretty good. Let's start with Point Blank 3. So the first, second, and third Point Blank games are available on the PS1. We have the third one. This is an epic party game developed by Namco. It's just so much freaking fun. We've been playing it so much.
You would think, when I first got it, seemed kind of cheesy. It's very, there's just a bunch of mini games. You're in and out of them really fast. The music.
Oh.
If there was a great pile right now, this game would be right up top that. But this is definitely going in the good pile. It's a must.
This is definitely, it kind of reminds me of, if you're a fan of Game & Wario, like weird party games. Point Blank 3 CIB is going for about $50, and then Point Blank 2 is going for $37, and then Point Blank 1 $40 CIB.
So not too shabby.
Not too bad. We just have a loose copy because we found it. So It's so much fun. Now moving on to Area 51, a Midway game. You guys know Area 51 from the arcades.
Yeah.
This game is amazing.
I gotta go good pile here.
Yeah, this is great.
Reacts pretty damn well. Works with the Konami Justifier.
Yep.
I mean, it's cheesy, but it's kind of like in that real action type of art style.
Yeah, live action. Dude, it's so much fun. This game is also available on the Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
So some of these are available in the arcade, and they got ported. Some of them are exclusive. But dude, Area 51, great game. Midway.
Had a lot of fun with it.
Beautiful. Now moving on to Maximum Force, another Midway game, and I think I read somewhere that this was the precursor to Area 51. Obviously, it's
I know they had like a double cabinet.
Yeah, obviously it's not the same, but it's very similar to Area 51, but I feel like Area 51 smoothed it out, so this one's not as good, I don't think.
On PS1.
Yes.
These are the ports of these games. I enjoy it, but it's definitely not good. No. I would say it goes in the bad category.
In the bad pile. But this game is $25 CIB. It's available on Saturn, Windows, and the arcade. Let's put it in the bad pile.
Yeah, and just to kind of give everybody a little bit of clarity is I think all these games should be played if you're a light gun fan. It's kind of like when you're ranking B-grade horror movies.
Yeah, they're all going to be cheesy or ridiculous or over the top.
But you still need to see them, still need to play them, but it definitely goes in the bad pile. What do you think of this? I think there's a ton of value in this. It's a Konami game. Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2.
Yeah,
the arcade classics release.
Double pack. This game is really cool. You need the Justifier to play it, obviously.
It's got the Justifier on the back. It's pretty cool.
This game's going for $40 CIB, so not too bad. You get 2 light gun games with it. It's really fun, but the weird, frustrating part with this game is blood is defaulted to off.
Yeah.
Why would you want that?
I don't. Well,
so
families.
Go in, turn the blood on, and then you have so much fun. It literally feels like an 80s cop movie when you play these games.
Yeah, and then the second one's more of a Western, right?
Yeah, it's just, oh man, it's so much fun. I'm going to say good pile.
Yeah, I would too. I think a lot of people, at least from an at-home experience, remember playing these games on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. And there have been a few people that we're friends with that I've mentioned he got a double pack on PS1, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I've never freaking heard of that. And I think a lot of people fall into that category. Don't sleep on that one.
Let's talk about a Christmas game. This is Die Hard Trilogy. I hope I pissed somebody off. This is only available with the Justifier. This game is only $12 CIB, and it's 3 games. It's also available on the Sega Saturn and Windows. This game is fun, but I'm going to put it in the bad pile.
Yeah.
It's terribly bad, but then when you get like grenades or rocket launchers or the different guns, then you kind of have fun.
It's really hard. We still haven't even figured out how to calibrate guns in it.
There's no calibration.
The menus are just dodgy. It feels like the light gun component of it was bolted on last minute. Like, it feels like you should be navigating everything with a controller. It is worth noting all these menus controlled differently. Like, there's not a common thread of how, there's no continuity of how the menus work from game to game.
That's really frustrating. So, like,
even within the same publishers, I feel like.
Every game is different. Either start goes through or trigger goes start, or one of them is how you scroll. So when you're trying to like figure out how to calibrate and you accidentally like pull the trigger because you think it goes down, then the game starts and you got to reset. So it's kind of frustrating, but once you get through all that, the games are fun.
Yeah, this game I just would put it in the category of so close but so far away. There is fun to be had, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
But there's a reason this game's only like going for $12.
Let's move on to Crypt Killer, Konami game. This game's $40 CIB. It's available on the Sega Saturn and it's in the arcade, so that's really cool. This game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This game is over the top. It's kind of glitchy. It's simple but really fun. I don't know, because this is in the B grade horror like bad.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
So should we put it in the bad?
It's like a middle. I would say I would probably lean towards good, but it's like bottom of the good pile.
So should we put it in good?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
think
put it
good,
in
yeah.
good.
Haha, it looks like you have some confidence.
Now let's move on to Elemental Gear Bolt, our prized possession. This is one of the most unique, amazing light gun experiences I have ever played. This game is incredible. The music, it feels like you're watching an anime, but then you're playing, there's like RPG elements, you
Yeah.
gotta save fairies. This game is $225 CIB.
Yeah, it's a dinger.
So have fun picking it up. But this game is incredible. It's by Working Designs, which I don't know much about them, but
yeah, this is...
dude, it's amazing.
You know, it's hard to justify paying that much for any game,
Yeah.
but
When you
I
play
understand why it goes for what it does.
When you play it, you go, holy crap, the music's
Yeah.
incredible. I got goosebumps when I was playing it. Like, what?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Dude, it's such a... And this is a game that you can use the Justifier or the GunCon with, so that's kind of cool. So
Yeah.
if you're going to... This is an amazing game. Highly recommend, even though it's super expensive.
Yeah,
and
but
this is an exclusive PS1 game, so you can't play it anywhere else.
Yep,
Unless
for
you
sure.
obviously hack or ROM or whatever.
An interesting factoid about this game, Elemental Gearbolt, is one of the versions of the game is one of the rarest pieces in gaming history. The Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's Case comes with a literal briefcase, a gold NAMCO GunCon, a red memory card. I think there was a variant with a gold memory card, a letter from Working Designs. This was only given out, I think there's like less than 50 of these ever made. Couple contest winners, and then a couple video game editors, folks from the industry got these. It's worth like $15K. It's absolutely insane. Something we'll never own, but I just figured it'd be fun to throw that in there.
Gunfighter, The Legend of Jesse James.
Oh, yikes.
So this game
Cowboys.
is, it's a relatively cheap game to pick up. So if you find it out and about, I don't know what it's going for. You've got the list
Yeah,
over there.
it's $9 CIB.
If you like Time Crisis, here's this. I don't want you to think that this is on the level of Time Crisis, but think about the mechanics, the ducking to reload or going behind cover.
And think
This-
about the time.
Yeah, plays a
Yeah.
lot like that, but this game's time-bound, meaning there's always a running clock. I would put this game in the good pile because I like Western stuff.
Oh, I was leaning bad pile.
This is a B-grade version of Time Crisis, but the mechanics work like Time Crisis.
And if you like Westerns or Cowboys, it is fun. The one frustrating thing with this game is when it goes through cutscenes or when you're traveling, your time keeps going
Yeah,
down.
that's so dumb.
And what's also really cool is your health is cards. You know, because Westerns, it makes sense. But it's so
you know, because Westerns.
yeah, it makes sense. But it's so frustrating. Like, you have 14 seconds left and you're traveling, going through a cutscene, and then by the time you get there, you ran out of time and then it's game over. You're like, what? That's the only frustrating part.
Yeah.
But it's exclusive to the PS1, published by Ubisoft.
It did get a sequel that was on the PS2, but was only in PAL regions.
Oh,
so,
yeah, Gunfighter
yeah.
2,
Yep.
the Revenge of Jesse
Yeah,
James, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure. Now we're on to Project Horned Owl. This game uses the Justifier. It's an exclusive. This game's about $45 CIB. This game is weird because it's a mech styled game.
Very slow.
Very slow and sluggish.
Not because the game's running
No,
that way.
but because you're
Yeah,
a mech.
yeah.
So it feels, because you're used to fast-paced Light Gun games, this one's going to feel a little bit weird. But it's fun. You shoot rockets. I will say that when you're shooting things in the distance, accuracy gets a little off, but gravity.
Well,
so it makes sense.
That is,
you know?
yeah. I mean, because you're not shooting bullets. So you gotta like almost...
Yeah, you got to imagine you're a mech.
And a rocket rises, over, so you have to like shoot accordingly. Game feels very floaty and stiff, and it's atypical to what you expect from traditional light gun games.
Yeah.
What it's trying to do, it does really well.
Does it really good. What do you... I think the game is good.
Yeah.
I just don't like how mech and slow it is.
Yeah.
So, should we put it in the good pile?
I think it's a good game. I think they achieved what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick this game to play probably over anything in this pile, but that's just not really what I want to play when I'm playing
Light Gun games. Yeah.
But the game is not flawed. It's just the subject matter makes it the way it is.
Now moving on to Time Crisis Project Titan. This game is exclusive to the PS1. It's a Time Crisis game, obviously. This game is $36 CIB, and it is amazing if you like Time Crisis. Typical Time Crisis fun. This game is badass. So much fun. And that kind of ties into the next game, Time Crisis the original. You played it in the arcade, now you can play it on PS1 at home. Amazing freaking game. This game is going for $20 CIB, so not bad at all, and you can only play it in the arcade or at home with the PS1.
Yeah.
It's Time Crisis. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Looks great.
I think I'm letting nostalgia lead the way here. I personally like playing Time Crisis more than Project Titan, but I think it's because I just remember the game so well.
I like Project Titan more.
Yeah.
I think Project Titan looks a little bit better.
It does.
But they both play similar. They're both amazing. Both amazing games. So mostly good. Mostly good games.
Yeah.
But even these, like Die Hard and Maximum Force, I think it's worth a try or worth a playthrough if you're a Light Gun game fan.
And I will tell you, this is the PlayStation 1 era. Please keep that in mind.
Yeah, because graphics are going to be a little...
The arcade portability is not 100% spot on. It's not... we tested the GunCon ones on the PS2 right before we filmed this episode. And the leap from PS1 to PS2 is remarkable in how the games play.
The PS2 games look beautiful.
When we say these are good, it's in the confines of what was capable at the time with the PlayStation 1. Don't think that you're going to be playing Time Crisis from the arcade on your PS1. It's not quite there. Close.
Dude, but it's so much fun.
It is. A lot of fun.
The fun factor in Light Gun games are amazing. So since we're talking about games, we got a pile of good. I think we kind of do like our top 5
PS1 Light Gun games.
PS1 Light Gun games.
Yeah.
This is loose. We haven't thought about this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be tough. I think discussion, Point Blank 3.
Yep.
The 2 Time Crisis games. Elemental, Gearbolt for sure. And then Lethal Area 50.
Probably,
this is tough.
Probably Lethal Enforcers.
Lethal Enforcers, okay.
There.
So there's 5. Now we gotta rank them.
Yeah.
This is tough.
Is it fair to have 2 Time Crisis games in here?
Well, they're both incredible and amazing.
Okay.
Unless you want to...
Let's start with the bottom of this stack.
Okay.
So number 5, how do you feel about Lethal Enforcers being number 5?
I think I'm fine with that. Lethal Enforcers, great Konami game.
It is, and you get 2 games packed into one.
But make sure you turn the blood on.
Yeah, turn on that blood. Okay, this is going to get really tough here. Number 4, I don't know what you're thinking.
I'm maybe thinking 4. Oh, you're thinking a Time Crisis game.
Yeah.
Okay. The first... Okay, I'm fine with that. Time Crisis, number 4. I'm fine with that. And then maybe 3, Project
Titan, number 3. So we're down now.
This is so
to
stupid.
Elemental Gearbolt
and Point Blank 3. I'm going to say Point Blank 3 is 2.
Okay.
And then, because Elemental...
It has a fighting chance, but this...
It really does. But this is so stupid.
Yeah.
But so good. Dude, it's amazing. But this is... Just because of
It's the coupe de top.
It's the coupe de top. Amazing experience. The pico de gallo, the freaking...
Yeah.
It's...
The Gabagool.
It's so good.
Very good.
It all depends on what type of games you like in the light gun niche. So we're already niching down to light guns, and then we're niching down even more. If you're a fan of mech games, you might think Project Horned Owl is the best game, or you like Time Crisis. These games are good.
Yeah.
These are just our order. I've had so much fun with this episode. We've been working on it for months.
Yeah.
Playing the games, doing research, getting all the games, getting all the accessories. Feels so good to finally talk about
Absolutely.
it. Speaking of talking, let's talk about this beer. This is the Citroid Double IPA with Citra hops by Toppling Goliath, one of my favorite breweries. I love IPAs. We've overloaded the cyber mainframe with Citra hops in order to hack into aromas and flavors of passion fruit, orange zest, and cantaloupe. Ooh.
This is like a 9.5, 10 out of 10. This is such a good brew.
This is so good, and first off, Toppling Goliath makes amazing IPAs. But the fruit element this is, where it's a double IP, so it's smooth, and it's got that, like, you don't get a lot of hops, I feel like. It's very smooth, very, like, orangey. Like, this is really good.
Really well balanced. I don't know how they keep doing it time and time and time again. It does have a little bit, now, you spoke to its variance comparatively to other brews they have. It does kind of have that Toppling Goliath taste that we talked about.
That IPA taste, because they probably use the same hops.
Yeah,
they're saying, but
you could blind taste test either one of us, and we would be like, "Oh, that's a Toppling Goliath beer," and we would with this.
Yeah, but I love that the fruit element comes in and helps smooth it out and gives it a different variance. This is really good, and I love how it's kind of like, computery, sciencey.
Yeah,
like
video
the PlayStation
games.
1.
Yeah,
and that's a tieback. So before we wrap up the episode, we got to say, is it worth it? Should you pick up and play PS1 Light Gun Games? You got to jump through a lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You got to get the guns, you got to get a CRT, you got to get a console, you got to get the games.
I think it depends on how big of a light gun fan you are. And if you want to, some people find what we just did and all the work that we just put into this exhausting and cumbersome. We don't.
We love it.
We love that stuff. Like, yeah, it is a little bit of an ordeal to set up your light guns and get them out and hook them all up, but then the experience is so fun. A lot of these games, we didn't go through kind of if it's 1 or 2 player. Some of the games are only 1 player, some of the games are 2 player.
I'll put a graphic up and it will say 1 or 2 player.
Yeah, so I think you got to read your own mail. I would say I would rather be down the PS2 light gun rabbit hole than the PS1 rabbit hole. I feel like there's more games to play on the PS1.
But the PS2 games are amazing.
Yeah.
And we'll do a PS2 buying guide Light Gun Games here soon. I'm glad we did this.
But are we going to sell this stuff off because we just filmed this? Hell no. Like,
no.
This like is literally some of our favorite games in our collection, and we will play this stuff, fistful of times a year. We're not going to play them every day.
It's so much fun to set it up, and when there's a group of people around, especially at Point Blank 3, set it up and be like, okay, let's take turns, it's a party game.
Yep.
Or be like, hey, let's beat Time Crisis. Like, you kind of feel like you're in the arcades, and it's cool because in the garage downstairs, we have 2 CRTs, so we could potentially have 2 light gun setups, and it'd be like you're at an arcade, put on some MTV, and oh man, I think it's worth it. But if you don't want to jump through the hoops, or if you're not a light gun game fan, it might not be worth it to you because some of it is expensive.
Yeah, and to me, there's value in playing stuff the way that it was and the feel of when it first came out. There is inevitably going to be somebody in the comments saying, "Well, I just emulate the games." Awesome, good for you.
Or I have a Sinden light gun.
Yeah,
cool.
That's fine. But shooting at a real CRT with a real freaking light gun, that feels just hard to replicate. But everybody can do their own thing. I think it's worth it for the type of gamer I am, the type of collector I am. I do not regret picking any of this stuff up that is on the table.
Oh, dude, I love it. I'm so glad we did this episode. I'm so glad we spent months working on it. And now I just want to freaking pour another beer.
And play some Point Blank 3.
And play some Point Blank 3. And listen to that damn music.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comment section below if you want us to go through the same trials and tribulations for the PlayStation 2.
Ooh.
And do a buying guide for the PlayStation 2 light gun games. If you do, we'll get it out.
I think we're going to do it either way.
Yeah. Well, we might. Who knows? But anyway, we appreciate you tuning in, subscribing to the channel. Go grab a buddy, play some light gun games on your PlayStation 1, and hopefully the information you learned today will point you in the direction to get that done.
No pun intended.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Right here on the one and only. That's not going to work. Gaming off the grid. It's unfortunate for the Konami Justifier that this game is also on the same comp. Their mind goes to the next accessory we're going to talk about
in a little bit.
But the gun...
A spoiler alert.
Mine might look a little lighter than yours, but I don't think anybody will notice.
No, it looks yellow. It does look a little different, but whatever.